Today we are going to discuss about the topic of the writing process. Firstly, start with the introduction of writing. Writing is a medium of human communication that involves the representation of a language with written symbols. Writing systems are not themselves human languages, with the debatable expectation of computer language. They are means of rendering a language into a form that can be constructed by other humans separated by time or space. While not all languages utilize a writing system, those with systems of inscriptions can complement and extend capacities of spoken language by enabling the creation of durable forms of speech that can be transmitted across space and stored over time. It has been observed that the activity of writing itself can have knowledge transforming effects, since it allows humans to externalize their thinking in forms that are easier to reflect on, elaborate, consider, and revise. Writing relies on many of the same thematic structures as the speech it represents, such as lexicon and syntax. It is some kind of the writing with the added dependency of a system of symbols to represent that languages. So the results of the activity of writing is called a text, and the interpreter or activator of this text is called a reader. So in the next slide, this strategy guide explains the writing process and offers practical methods for applying it in your classrooms to help you become proficient writers. In the writing process, pre-writing, drafting, revising and editing, rewriting, publishing mirrors the way proficient writers write. In using the writing process, you will be able to break writing into manageable chunks and focus on producing quality material. The final stage, publishing, ensures that students have an audience. In writing process, first we have a pre-writing. So pre-writing is the first stage of the writing process, typically followed by drafting, revision, editing, and publishing. Pre-writing can consist of a combination of outlining, diagramming, storyboarding, and clustering. Basically, in the pre-writing, we have a brainstorming, clustering, pre-writing, journalist questions, journal writing, listening, outline, and painted. Basically, pre-writing strategy are important for students writing because It is the stage of the writing process in which they are able to get beginning ideas onto paper. Planning time allows students the chance to think about a topic of their choice. Next is the drafting. In drafting, the act or process of producing a technical drawing or draft. The art of producing technical drawing, a professional usually related to making technical drawing for architecture, engineer, or manufacturer. Actually writing the words of the paper, a part of the writing process, you will write multiple drafts of your paper. Each rough draft improves upon the previous one. Draft means to draw, both in sense of sketching an image onto paper, but also in terms of pulling a draft horse draw a wagon. To draft someone into the army means to draw them into service or make them serve. Next is the revising. In the revising is often defined as the last stage in the writing process. On the other hand, sees revision as a process of making changes throughout the written of a draft, changes that work to make the draft congruent with the writer's changing intentions. Next, we have editing. So editing is a process that involves revising the content, organization, grammar, and presentation of a piece of writing. The purpose of editing is to ensure that your ideas are presented to your reader as clearly as possible. Proofreading focuses on checking for accuracy in smaller details of your work. Next, we have a rewriting. Rewriting basically in the process of going through a rough draft and fixing things that don't work for you. Whether that's changing the word choice in a single sentence or cutting entire sessions that feel like fluff. Next, publishing. In the publishing means making information available to the public. In the past, this was done mainly through issuing printed copies of documents. Now there are many more options such as websites, print, DVD, e-publications, and apps. Next, you, the students, can even cuff each other during various stages of the process for further emphasis on audience and greater collaboration during editing. Basically, studies shows that students who learn the writing process score better on state writing tests than those who receive only specific instructions in the skills assessed on the test. Basically, this type of authentic writing procedures, lifelong learners and allow students to apply their writing skills to all subjects Basically, we have to build in ourselves of the writing skills like research, outlining, editing, reading comprehension, time management. We have to make use of wide vocabulary. Having a wide vocabulary is an asset of a successful writer. Get a writer partner. Express your thoughts confidentially. First drafts are never perfect. So while there are many reasons why you might be putting pen to paper or tapping away on the keyboard, there are really only four main types of writing: expository, descriptive, persuasive, and narratives. Each of these four writing genres had a distinct aim, and they all require different types of writing skills, like writing to persuade, writing to explain, writing to convey real or imagined experience. Next, success in writing greatly depends on your attitude, motivation, and engagement. The writing process basically takes these elements into account by allowing you to plan your writing and create a publishable final draft of their work of which you can be proud. Basically, editing operates on several levels. The lowest level, often called line editing, is the stage in the writing process where the writer makes changes in the text to correct errors, such as spelling, subject, verb agreement, verb tense consistency, point of view consistency, mechanical error, word choice, and word usage. And fine-tune his or her style, having revised the draft for content. The writer task is now to make changes that will improve the communication with the readers. The writing process involves to write in a variety of genre, encouraging creativity and incorporating writing conventions. This process can be used in all subject areas and provides an excellent way to connect instructions with state writing standards. A writing process describes a sequence of physical and mental actions that people take as they produce any kind of text. Writing processes are highly intuitive and task specific. They often involve other kinds of activities that are not usually thought of as writing, like talking, drawing, reading, browsing, etc. So, in this, we know the command of the languages, Make sure you understand your assignments. Decide on a topic to write about. Consider who will read your work. Brainstorm ideas about the subject. So, list place where you can find information, evaluating sources, and primary versus secondary sources. Make an outlet to help organize your research. Put the information you reached into your own words. Write sentences and paragraphs even if they are not perfect. Read what you have written and judge if it says what you mean. Write some more. Read it again. Write some more. Write until you have said everything you want to say about the topic. Read what you have written again. Rearrange words, sentences, or paragraphs. Take out or add parts. Don't research if you think you should. Take out or add parts. Don't research if you think you should. Replace overused or unclear words. Read your writing aloud to be sure it flows smoothly. Be sure all sentences are complete. Correct spelling, capitalization, and punctuation. Change words that are not used correctly or are unclear. Make sure you are using the appropriate style format like APA formatting, MLA formatting, and have someone else check your work. So the following are ways to implement each steps of the writing process. First, we have a pre-writing. In pre-writing, the steps involve brainstorming, considering purpose and goals for writing, using graphic organizer to connect ideas, and designing a coherent structure for a writing piece. In composition, the term pre-writing refers to any activity that helps a writer think about a topic, determine a purpose, analyze an audience, and prepare to write. Pre-writing is closely related to the art of invention in classical rhetoric. The object of pre-writing, according to Roger Caswell and Brenda Maheller, is to prepare students for writing by allowing them to discover what they know and what else they need to know. Pre-writing involves and invites exploration, promotes the motivation to write, because various kinds of writing, such as note taking, listening, free writing, usually occur during this stage of the writing process. The term free writing is somewhat misleading. A number of teachers and researchers prefer the term exploratory writing. We have some example: writing process, composition, discovery strategies, focusing, your writing private and public, got challenge on finding something to write about. In the next, with the help of your instructor, engage in whole class brainstorming to decide topic on which to write. Make a list of important people in your life. For example, online graphic organizer might organize your ideas for specific writing units during the pre-writing stage. Basically, pre-writing involves anything you do to help yourself decide what your central idea is or what details. Examples, reasons, or content you will include. Obviously, you can pre-write at any time in the writing process. Whenever you want to think up new material, simply stop what you are doing and start using one of these techniques. Stephen MacDonald and William Solomon, The Writer's Response, 5th edition, Wordsworth, 2012. Usually, the pre-writing activities help you find a good topic, narrow topics that are too broad, and look at propose. You finish the pre-writing activities with at least a sentence and a list. Or you may have something as formal as a 3-part thesis sentence and a fully development outline. Next, drafting. Drafting basically work independently. At this stage, the instructor will confer with your individually as you write. He will observe areas with which you might be struggling and which might warrant separate conference time or mini lessons. Drafting, also spelled drafting, also called engineering drawing, graphical representation or structures, machines, and their components parts that communicates the engineering intent of a technical design to the craftsmen or workers who makes the product. At the design stage, both freehand and mechanical drawing serve the functions of inspiring and guiding the designer and of communicating among the designer, collaborates production department, and marketing or management personnel. Drafting is based on the concept of orthographic projection, which is the principal concern of the branch of mathematics called descriptive geometry. Although preceded by the publication of related material and followed by an extensive department. In the 18th century, French mathematician is regarded as the first exposition of descriptive geometry and the formalization of orthographic projection. Reread your own work more than once as you think about whether it really conveys what you want to your reader. Reading your work aloud to classmates and other adults helps you to understand what revisions are needed. You will develop greater language proficiency as you collaborate with your peers when receiving. The growth and development of drafting so the introduction of the blueprinting process and the economy offered by a set of drawings that in most cases made the building of a working model unnecessary. You will develop greater language while receiving persons with a variety of skills, and we think that writing is very important nowadays. Drafting provides communicating among them and coordination of their activities. In which the designer has primary responsibility for the basic conceptions and final solution, but depends upon the support of several levels of drafters who prepare graphic, final solution, but who prepare graphic studies of details like determine fits, clearness, and manufacturing feasibility. Basically, the wide spectrum of activities demanded of a design term requires that its members combine experience and creativity with skills in visualization, analysis, and delineation with knowledge of materials, fabrication processes, and standards. Next is the rewriting. Rewriting basically incorporate changes as you carefully write or type your final draft. Basically in this, firstly we have write something and then we will try to rewrite again. Because in mathematics, computer science and logic, Rewriting covers a wide range of methods of replacing subterms of a formula with other terms. What is considered are rewriting systems? In their most basic form, they consist of a set of objects plus relations on how to transform those objects. Rewriting can be non-determinist. 1 plus to rewrite a term could be applied in many different ways to that term, or more than one rule could be applicable. Rewriting systems then don't provide an algorithm for changing one term to another, but a set of possible rules applications when combined with the appropriate algorithm. However, rewrite system can be viewed as computer programs. Several declaration programming languages are based on the term rewriting. In this, we can easily use of rewriting nowadays, because rewriting basically for revising and do something very easily. Next is the publishing. Publishing basically become possible when the invention of writing and became more practical upon the introduction of printing. Prior to printing, distributed works were copied manually by scribes. Due to printing, publishing progressed hand in hand with the development of books. You can encourage to publish your works in a variety of ways, such as a class book, bulletin boards, letter to the editor, school newsletters, or websites. Publishing is the job of editing, creating, and marketing of written and recorded material and softwares. Basically, publishing may produce private, club, commons, or public goods and may be conducted as a commercial, public, social, or community activity. The commercial publishing industry ranges from large multinational conglomerates such as Bertelsmann, Rolex, Pearson, and Thomson Reuters to thousands of small independents. It has various divisions such as trade, retail, public of fictions, and non-fictions educational publishing. Publishers can refer to a publishing company or organization or to an individual who leads a publishing company, imprint, periodical, or newspapers. Next, devising and editing. Devising and editing are the stages for undertake of significantly improve your essay. Both are very important elements of the writing process. You may think that a completed first draft means little improvement is needed. However, Even experienced writers need to improve their draft and rely on peers during revising and editing. You may know that athletes miss catches, fumble balls, or overshot goals. Dancers forget steps, turn too slowly, or miss beats. For both athletes and dancers, the more they practice, the stronger their performance will become. In this, you may know web designers seek better images, a more clever design, or a more appealing background for their web pages. Writing has the same capacity to profit from improvement and revision. The instructor will show how to revise specific aspects of your writing to make it more coherent and clear during mini lessons. The teacher can module reading his own writing and does a think about how he could add more details and make it clear. When you revise, you take a second look at your ideas. You might add, cut, move, or change information in order to make your ideas clearer, more accurate, more interesting, and more convincing. When you edit, you take a second, look at how you experienced your ideas, you add or change words, you fix any problems in grammar, punctuation, and sentence structure. You improve your writing style, you make your essay into a polished, mature piece of writing, the end product of your best efforts. Next, we also have 5 steps in the writing process, that is publishing, pre-writing, drafting, revision, editing. That's it. First is the pre-writing. Pre-writing basically when we write firstly after the final draft, we can write anything like report, like news, like article, like editorial, like feature, like something else, like reports, like writing interviews, and all. So firstly, we have to choose a topic. In what topic we have to write of the draft, for the news, for the article, for the feature. So firstly, what kind of topic we have to choose for creative writing. Next, gather material. After choosing the topic, we have to gathering the material with the help of newspapers, with the help of videos, with the help of magazines, supplements, internet, some interviews, and so on. After gathering the material, we have to choose the format and design a particular layout where we have to write the news, how much news we have to write, what kind of design we have to mark, and so on. So after this, we have a plan basic structure. So the plan basic structure, we have to maintain a proper structure. How many pages we have to write? 1, 2, 4, 6, 8 or 12. So firstly, we have to choose a topic, then gather material, choose a format, and last, plan basic structure. In the next, we have to drafting, we have to design, we have to comprising the colors, we have to arranging the news, because drafting is that kind of process where we have to design and we have to maintain the layouts and we have to measure all the words together. Firstly, we have to get your ideas on paper, use sentences and paragraphs. Firstly, we have to write all the topics and our ideas and what we should write in the newspapers, in the articles. So we have to write a rough point wise. Next, we have to use the sentences and paragraphs. In which kind of context, where we have to measure and all. So next is the follow the basic structure of the genre you have chosen. What kind of genre we have to write for the articles? So in the drafting, we have to choose, get your ideas on paper, use sentences and paragraphs, follow the basic structure of the genre you have to choose. Next, don't worry about getting it perfect. While we are writing the article, we don't have to think about that we are writing a wrong or our layout is not perfect, our language is so high, people can't understand after the reading. So these kind of thoughts we don't have to think and we don't worry while we are writing something. You can fix it later. If we are write something, so we have to fixing all the letters in the sequence. After you finish your first draft, you should get someone else's perspectives of your work. Find a couple of people to read your work, or better yet, read it aloud to them. Ask the following question and tell them that you would appreciate their honesty. So, what do you like about my piece? What is unclear? What questions do you have? What would you do to improve it? When we write something in the behalf of perfectionist, so these kind of thoughts are implemented in our mind. When we talk to us that your feature is nice, you write perfect. So in our mind, that what do you think like in this article? What is unclear? Do any question in strike your mind after reading the feature? Do you think we have to improve the feature? So these kind of questions we can put towards us. For the readers, for the audiences, we have to revise. We have to revise before writing a perfect feature or article. We have to add details, example and illustrations to strength and clarity. If we are write something, we have to add the details: what, where, why, when, who, and how. We have to the seeing of the illustrations. We have to think about the strength, because we can't write so many long, because people will feel getting bored after reading. We write awkward or unclear sentences or paragraph. After writing, we should have to rewrite. If we think that it's an awkward and unclear sentence, then we have to remove it. Cut any outwards sentence or paragraph that are off topic, distracting, or unnecessary. We just have to write that kind of things that is important, that is attractive, that is informative, and some kind of entertainment, but not the write that kind of words that feel getting very unnecessary, very awkward, and so bored. Next is the editing. After writing the material, we have to use the editing for the correction, for the perfectionist, for the attractiveness, for the eye catching. Basically, spellings, grammar mistakes, punctuations, style. So first thing about the spelling. We don't have to use the high languages. We don't have to write the high meanings word. We don't have the heavy sentences clearly. Next is the grammar. We have to check out the grammar mistakes like remark, words, correction. Next is the punctuation. And style. We don't have to use the boring style. Next, publishing. If we are right and proofreading after the editing and all things, that's the time for the publishing. Turn it in, post it to a blog, submit it to a publication or any other ideas. Because nowadays people don't have any time for buying a newspaper or magazines for the reading. We have to upload and publish our material on the internet, on the websites, on the blogs, on the social media platforms, because where people are very indulged to reading, viewing, visiting, that's all. So thank you so much. I hope you clear about the all context of the writing process, because writing is a very important thing that students and people have to know about the basic techniques of writing, styles of writing, skills of writing, and so on. Because writing techniques nowadays is very important, because if anyone don't know how to write, this is not a perfectionist. Because in this many people know about the writing style. Because in literature, Writing style is the manner of expressing thought in language, characteristics of our individual period, school or nation, as Burry and Ray notes, describe the reader's relationship with text, grammatical choices, and expression of social identity and the emotional effects of particular devices on audience. The rules are about what a write. The style is about how the writer does it. While following the rules draw from established English usage, the point of good writing style is that we have to express the message to the reader simply, clearly, and convincingly. Keep the reader attentive, engaged, and interested. Display the writer's personality. Demonstrate the writer's skills, knowledge, or abilities, and although these are usually evident and are what experts consider the writer's individual style. In this, we have to use a dictionary and key assets. Seek a middle level of distinctions. Call things by their names. Avoid redundancy and circumlocution. Avoid cliches. Avoid jargons. Avoid obsolete, archaic, and invented words. Avoid slang, regional expressions, and non-standard English. Avoid qualifiers. Avoid fancy words. Just use words in their established senses. Avoid offensive or sexist language. Say no more than you mean. Be as concrete as your meaning allows. Use logical terms precisely. Put statements in positive form. Make metaphors vivid and appropriate. Prefer vivid nouns and active verbs to adjectives and adverbs. So, active voice, even a slight change in rhythm. We have some method for writing effective sentence like avoid irrelevance, make real assertions, rely on the active voice, coordinate to show that ideas belong together, repeat words, phrases, and clauses for emphasis, make serious, consistent, and climate, subordinate to show, which is the main statement, subordinate to avoid monotony, subordinate to break up lengthy compound sentences, choose an appropriate means of the subordinate, place subordinate elements where they will convey the exact meanings, subordinate in one direction per sentence, be concise but don't omit necessary words, break the monopoly of declarative sentence, vary the order, complexity of sentences elements, vary the length of the sentences, be consistent, avoid distracting repetitions of the sound, listen for sentence rhythm, use parallel construction, and keep related words together. I'm giving you example that it was the best of time, it was the worst of time, it was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness, it was the epoch of belief, it was the season of light, it was the epoch of incredulity, it was the season of darkness, it was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven. We were all going direct the other way. In short, the period was so far like the present period that some of its noises authorities insisted on the being reserved for good or for evil. In the superlative degree of comparisons on Christmas, we so much like another. In those years, around the sea town corner now, and out of all sound expert the distant speaking of the voices. I'm something here a moment before sleep that I can never remember whether it snowed for 6 days or 6 nights when I was 12, or whether it snowed for 12 days and 12 nights when I was 6, or whether like the ice broke and the sketching grows vanished like a snowman through a white trap door on the same Christmas day. That the mince piece finished Uncle Arnold and we tobogganed down a seaward hill. All the afternoon on the best tea tray, and Mrs. Grafty complained and we threw a snowball at her knees, and my hands burned so with the heat and the cold when I held them in front of the fire that I cried for 20 minutes and then had some gel. So, writing techniques is a style an author uses to convey their message in a manner that is effective and meaningful for their audience. Understanding the different types of writing techniques is important to professionals because you will need to change your style of writing to make a connection with your audience. Basically, logos, athos, pathos, these Greece terms refers to general strategies for arguments. Diction, concession and reply, structure, repetition and parallel structure, figurative language. So basically we have the 5 techniques that narrative writing, analytical writing, expository writing, persuasive writing, and argumentative writing. So to improve students' reading comprehensive, teachers should introduce the 7 cognitive strategies of effective readers like activating, inferring, monitoring, clarifying, questioning, searching, selecting, summarizing, and visualizing and organizing. So in this, use experience as a springboard, awaken all senses, show with a spin, avoid glitches, turn objects into metaphors, be aware of what makes your observation. So these kinds of some basic things where we have to concept while writing some words. In this, because writing is that kind of concept where we have no and we have nothing while we have no senses of the writing. So thank you so much. I hope you're clear about the whole kind of context of the writing process. Thank you so much.